Some people will get out and don't look back or forget, but when you walk through your 27 years with those eyes, you can never forget the struggle.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay, and we get to talk to Bobby Bostic today. Yay! For those of you that don't know, Bobby Bostic was sentenced to 241 years at 16 years old for a robbery, and today he's free. So he had a law change. Knock on wood, one day I will get to change the law for my husband, Nicholas. But until then, I get to interview people like Bostic who were able to make that change, which is super cool. And he's just very inspirational. I thought that Nick and I do a lot to advocate and push out to the world, I guess. But Bobby takes it to a whole new level. I'm going to warn you, the audio is a little wonky in some areas. I'm having trouble with my recorder right now. I will be working on it though, so hopefully I can get it fixed pretty quick, but it's hard to tell. I mean, you can't tell while you're recording. So some of the audio, especially in the beginning, is a little bit wonky, but then it gets a lot clearer as we go. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. The other thing that I wanted to give a heads up on is I wanted to give an update on the lawsuit that my husband and I filed against, I think, 8 members of the Nebraska Department of Corrections. So Nick filed it pro se, which means that he filed it himself. We did a lot of work on it, but to be honest, between me and you, ChatGPT was very helpful because we've never done anything like this before. And if you have any experience with the court systems, when you call the clerks, they're like, I think it's legally they're not allowed to help you. So if you're like, hey, but do I talk to the bailiff? They're like, I don't know. Do you want me to transfer you to the bailiff? And I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. What am I supposed to do? Anyway, we managed to figure it out. With everything that happened with the article coming out from the Flatwater Free Press, thank you, Sarah, the journalist who did the investigation on it. With all that came out, I think there was a lot of talk in the community, apparently, allegedly. Anyways, long story short, we have secured pro bono representation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I feel about it. I feel very hopeful. They are walking us through it in a lot of ways. I can't go into too much detail. I don't even know if I'm allowed to be doing this, but we're going to be doing it because, I'm pretty transparent. But yeah, we dismissed the case. Long story short, the one that Nick and I filed has been dismissed. There was supposed to be a court hearing today, like today as in when you're listening, if you're listening on October 23rd, when this episode is released. However, it has been canceled. It has been dismissed by our new counsel, and there will be some future updates. So pray for us. We are really hoping that not only to hold the prison accountable for their actions, because what they're doing is ridiculous, but also because I'm actually seeing it right now, to be honest. Long story short, they're trying to alienate us from our connections that we've made within the prison system and whatnot. They're doing a lot of things. They're bullying people around us that are connected to us and whatever. What I see is a lot of fear, people get scared, right? Which is the natural reaction that Nicholas and I should have had. However, we didn't. We had the opposite reaction. We tried it the first way, we tried to be agreeable, I guess, or inquisitory and asking questions and trying to work with them. When we realized that they're not actually in the business of working with families, they're actually just in the dictatorship business, that's when we started pushing back because what they were doing was wrong. And I think that they've been getting away with it for a long time. And I'm not just talking about Nebraska Department of Corrections. We're talking about all the prison systems. And it really breaks my heart. They don't follow their own policies. They want us to be held accountable to their policies, but they don't want to hold themselves accountable to their policies. They want to make stuff up. They want to forge signatures. They want to lie about when books were received into the system so that they can claim certain things. The list can go on of all the things that they do that is so not okay. And I hope that us fighting like this will set precedent for others to do that. I'm hopeful, and I will keep you guys updated on the civil suit or what happens next once it happens. So I'm actually not privy to a lot of it. I have to put a lot of faith and trust in other people right now, which I'm totally fine with. I trust them, so we're good. But I will keep you updated. The other thing I just wanted to mention was I had the greatest interview with the Real News Network. You can check out the video on YouTube. I will include it in the show notes here. And it was just a really great interview to discuss what's happening with my husband and I with the podcast and our separation, and the importance of familial ties when we talk about people that are incarcerated, and how important it is for rehabilitation and community and re-entry that loved ones aren't separated from their families and friends because the prison chooses to do that. So it was an interview with Mansa Musa. He was incarcerated for 48 years and I believe in Maryland for felony murder. Go check it out on YouTube. The Real News Network is also available on wherever you get your podcasts. So the video interview is there and the audio is on Rattling the Bars podcast. So please check out my interview. I tried to center it, I guess, around, the importance of family when we are dealing with incarcerated people and the prison system, administration, and people's loved ones. And it's important that communication is open. And it's such a shame that this dictatorship, bullying, ego-driven attitude is everywhere. And a lot of loved ones that I talk to and the more and more people I get connected with, the more and more I hear about it. And it just breaks my heart. So I'm hoping that this helps affect change. And I hope it helps someone else to encourage them to stand up if the prison's doing them something wrong and that they're actually doing something wrong. Because a lot of times we get, like when we're telling the story, people think like, oh, there must be more to the story. This is what I'm saying. There really isn't more to the story. And that is the reality. And this proves it. So that's just what we're trying to do is say like, there really isn't. When people look at our story and think there's got to be something else to it, there isn't. They really just made up policies. Actually, they didn't even make them up. They just stopped answering our calls because we were questioning. So I think they thought that I would run away, which is what most people do. But I think my husband and I are a lot stronger together than we are apart. So that will continue. So yes, back to Bobby Bostic. I wanted to give you that update, but I want you to be listening to him. So I'm going to shut my mouth and let you get on with the interview with Bobby Bostic. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are new here, please follow us on, and please follow the show and share it with your friends and family so that more people can learn about loved ones of incarcerated individuals and the interviews with different varieties of people along the way. So I hope you enjoy, and I will let you get to it. Interview with Bobby Bostic. Have fun. Bye. Thank you so much, Bobby, for joining me today. I'm very excited to get to know you better. Just to start us off, I'm really curious about how you grew up and what was life like before everything happened that changed your life?
I grew up in St. Louis. I was raised by a single mother, and she did the best she could with the little that she had, and we made the best of it.
Mm-hmm. As a teenager, do you remember making sense of the decisions that you made? Were they justified to you, or did you feel like you were making mistakes and that you were not following a path you should have?
I would say I knew that they weren't the best decisions, but when I saw my neighborhood, and that was the path that I chose, even though I know it wasn't the greatest path.
And how did you end up in the situation that led you to be convicted?
Well, the night I was arrested, I'm from the north side of St. Louis. We was hanging on the south side of St. Louis, which is a different neighborhood, different territory.
Mm-hmm.
And female friend, she got into it with one of the Southside guys, I guess, and one of them smacked her. And she came and got us, and we went around to confront the guys, and they told us that misunderstandings, they don't have no problem with us. We let that go, walked back around the corner. We saw people that we decided to rob. A lot of crime happens spontaneous, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you were 16 years old.
16 years old, I was certified as an adult. Then they sent me to adult jail.
Right away.
And,
Wow.
12 months later, I was sentenced. And then I was in prison and shipped away for the rest of my life.
And you were sentenced to 241 years, correct?
Yeah, 85%. Any violent crime in the United States is 85%.
Wow. Before you went to sentencing, did your lawyer warn you, or what were you thinking going into your sentencing?
I wasn't thinking at that age. I still figured I was a juvenile.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I would get 15, 20, maybe even 30 years, but I never thought in my wildest dream that the judge, when she sentenced me, he told me I would die in prison. I could never foresee that because of my situation, nobody was injured or none of that, so I never thought that I would be sentenced to die in prison.
Yeah. My husband is incarcerated, and when he got sentenced to life for felony murder, he was 20, he was young, and he said he laughed when the judge gave him that sentence because he couldn't comprehend. To him, it was not a joke, but he was still so young and couldn't really understand it. So to him, it was the thing to laugh and just look at the judge. They couldn't be serious. What was your reaction when they told you that you were going to die in prison?
Well, my mother was standing 3 feet away from me, and I just looked over her. I know those words we was confident in each other. Mama, she like, well, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That type of pain and nothing in the world feel like that you're going to die in prison or something like that anyway. And I was numb and shell-shocked, but even in the process of being numb and shell-shocked, or that little other part of me was there like, man, you got to keep going, man. There's light on the other side. That type of stuff impressed you at that age. Like, man, I knew nobody in the court but two people. I was going to a world I knew nothing about. You just young, you don't know nothing about how to get out of this place, how to survive. You just got to go, and that's the most, me talking about it, can't really capture those moments and weeks leading up after sentencing. How you manage to go on with your life despite being told you're going to die in prison. You numb, just going through the motions, but somehow you got to survive because you're in a maximum security prison. You grieving, you hurt, but you still got to survive because everybody around you doing their life sentence. So when you get there, they in a prison mode. They just going on with everyday life. That's why I wrote my third book. It's called Life Goes On Inside Prison. Mm-hmm. To explain to people that despite being in prison, life goes on. You got to go get your TV, your radio, you go to the yard and work out. Yeah. And when you see other people doing this, it gives you something like, damn, this dude got 3 lives, I got 1. So maybe I could be all right too. He been down 10 years. You going through this grieving, but everything around you is still moving. People going to work in prison every day. People reading, people learning, people playing music. Like, man, I don't like this, I don't want this, but I got to go on like everybody else for now.
Yeah. When you first entered, you're 16 years old, you're in an adult prison. How did you adjust to your environment? What was it like?
I was incarcerated in juvenile, but nothing compared to prison.
Yeah.
When you get to prison, especially back in the early 90s, you have predators waiting on you, picking people out as they get off the bus, right?
Wow.
I wasn't tough. I was a little skinny kid going into prison, but somehow I was never picked on in prison. Nice. Nobody ever approached me. No predator never approached me. Mm-hmm. And when guys did approach me, they was just saying, man, that's too much time. Because I was the youngest person in prison at that time. I was blessed, and I was a young idiot, so I got off into the prison gangs, the prison politics, not to the point where I got drowned in it, but it's what was around me. Still always was in the law, I believe. That was my anchor, just staying grounded, because at the time I wasn't on my faith. I was getting high every day. That's how I tried to get through it, skating through the marijuana. I just knew that it had to be something better in this life, so I just kept holding on, even though you can't see it. There's no way to see it. It's only faith and something that you can't see that keeps you holding on.
Yeah. Right from the beginning, you went to the law library?
Yeah. When you've been told you're going to die in prison, what else is there to do? Of course, if you get into it with somebody in prison, this is the mentality of prison. So, of course, I got into incidents of people staring and me asking what he's looking at, and he's saying, I'm going to see you later. So in prison back then, that was a negotiation tactic. That's how you handle problems back then. All of some maximum security prisons back then had 30 years or more. Mm-hmm. But I stayed away from sports, the extreme violence in the beginning, because I stayed in the law library. And when we come out the library, we get locked down because of another stabbing. But what saved me is who I was with. But what did save me was the law library. I wanted out of prison. I hated prison, and the only way out was law. No experience in law. They got the books stacked from floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
Only word in the book is Constitution and Bible. So you got to study this stuff that you don't even know. I had to somehow learn it. I don't have no GED, no high school education. And I dropped out in the ninth grade. But I knew in my soul, more than anything, I wanted freedom. I started hanging out with older guys that studied law. We taught law, we slept law, we ate law. Study this, study that. You have to master the law.
Yeah.
There's three branches of government. You got the legislative, judicial branch, and you got the executive branch.
Yeah.
I tried five premises. I was never successful. Most people, I'm going to say 92% of people are never successful in appeals, right?
Yeah.
Those are the odds. That's why in the state system, 97% of people plead guilty to their charges. 96 in the state. In the feds, 98 point some percent. Most guys just plead guilty. You do that, your appeals, they may still appeal because they saying that maybe this is only 10 years and I plead guilty and I should only got 7 years. They may appeal something like that, but as far as anything else, they ask you 8 or 9 times when you plead guilty. You understand you forfeiting all appeals and all. You got to say yeah on it. It's hard to get in court, right?
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing in the world. And you got these legal scholars, these jailhouse lawyers. The first thing that the prison administration tell you is to stay away from the people because they sharks and predators. That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to know these guys, you see, okay, they got to make money if they charge, okay. But some people never go to the library. They choose to play ball, play cards, hand. They just stay away from law out there. They just get these jailhouse lawyers, they legal stuff and say, man, can you file this one? And dudes charging, and some of these dudes are legal experts. A ironic part about jail is that the jailhouse lawyers never seem to get out. They know the law, they know how to help other people get out, but they situations be so hard to get out legal-wise. They're filing stuff for everybody else, but they can't get out most of the time because that's just the conjury or the ironic thing about jails. The smartest guys in jails, it's hard for them to get out, but they can help teach other people or help file other things for other people.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the people they say stay away from. But most people do go to them. Most people are not going to study law.
Yeah.
I had to study law because I was never getting out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just hope and have blind faith. So my work was studying the situation I was in. And it don't matter how hard you study, sometimes the law, it seems impossible. All you have is faith, and you just hold on, knowing that the mistake you made shouldn't define you for the rest of your life. And you have to prove that to the world, and that takes time, patience. And that's what sets you apart from other prisons, because some people just accept their fate or their actions show that they there and you want different. So you're not better than nobody because you made more mistakes than many of these prisoners would ever make. You did some dumb, stupid stuff, but you start to see the humanity in these guys. Even though these guys may be in for the worst crime in the world, these are the guys who, when you don't have no food, they'll come to you like, man, I got something to eat. You need some stamps to write your family hurt. Or they'll see some guys getting into some or finna get off with something, they help them, but nobody ever see that side. Society only see the crime that these men committed. Nobody will ever see it. They just see what they did on paper.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, trying to rise above your worst mistake, trying to get society to see the man you became. That's your family see who you became, your friends see you changed, but the world only see what you did 20 years ago on paper.
Mm-hmm.
How do you overcome this? This is the battle that you face in prison about how to overcome the worst thing you have done. For me, I didn't have money to pay for college, so I had to write thousands of letters to people on the street to raise the money. And eventually I found two people who paid over $28,000 for me to go to college. And I was able to get my associate's degree.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I wrote thousands of letters. Of course, I got denied thousands of times from people. And then this one lady, she wanted a free library. So I wrote her, told her about my love for reading books, and she wrote me back, and I told her about my dream of going to college, and she said she'll pay for it.
Wow.
So she paid for it to like $18,000, and then she passed away, unfortunately. So I had to start back from the drawing board, and I wrote thousands more letters, and then I found a professor on the East Coast. He paid the last $10,000, and I was released. So I was writing thousands of letters to publishing companies. Because there wasn't no Amazon back then. There wasn't no self-publishing back then. I was just writing thousands of letters just trying to get published back then. All that stuff wasn't big. Most authors went the traditional route of going through publishing houses. So I was writing all these people getting turned down, sending my books out every which way. And On the third front, I was writing trying to get out of prison. I self-published 7 books while I was in prison. I had to self-publish. And every chance I got, so I promoted my books every time the media came to interview. I dreamed of getting in those magazines. I did until I got out. So then I had to focus on getting out in my books. And I still was writing thousands of letters to try to get out of prison because I didn't have my money, so I had to get pro bono attorneys, right? So the one organization I wrote, ACLU of Missouri, I wrote them at least 3 times a year for 10 years, and finally they decided to take my case. My situation in the media gives research. I had more time to do interview now because they had passed the law of Alabama, which made juveniles eligible for parole after 25 years. Eventually, a politician in Missouri came to my aid and said he would get me out, and it took them about 2 years, but they passed legislation based on my situation, passed a law based on my name. They included that in there. And that's how me and 700 people was eligible for parole that was juvenile who committed our crime. But it's much more in between there, but I'm just giving a story of hope and inspiration to prisoners to never give up. You never know which one of those letters going to get answered, right? You can't just say, okay, man, I'm tired of writing. I wrote 3,000 letters and I ain't got no response. For me, every letter I got returned to sender, no, we can't help you. In my first sentence, I said I'm guilty, so why would I write the innocent part? So anyway, to us, hope is what keeps you going to prison. And I try to go back into the prison and inspire these guys because I was never getting out, man. It ain't no way around it. It's hard to get out of prison. If you never give up, what can hold you if you never give up? It sounds like a bold statement, but what can hold you? You got to keep going. One day, your time will come, but you can't wait on it. You got to fight for it constantly. Constant, most important thing I used to tell guys, prison, first of all, you got to change. I was never seeing a parole board. I didn't change for nobody but me. Don't give up. Don't give in. Just keep going. But one thing, it sounds cliche, but I had to become free on the inside first. That's reality. You got to become free on the inside. It got to be bigger than you. When you want to get out, it can't just be about you getting out here having fun or whatever and living life. You got to get out here and do something extraordinary. You got to contribute to life. All those dreams we had in the cell, we got to get out here and do something that ain't never been done before. Set a path beyond that hunger that you got in that cell when you're doing the push-ups, when you pacing back and forth in the cell. Take that hunger to your goals out here. Don't become complacent now. Just do something extraordinary. Let your freedom be worth it. And go on. Even though you did what you did, the worst mistake of your life, a mistake like that, we can't take back, right? What we can do in that situation is we can dedicate our life to people whoever life got took. We can do something in their name to make their death not in vain. Whatever justification we had in the end, sometimes 80% of the stuff that we do in violence is not justified, but even if it was, or we think in our logic it was justified, we do something for that person whose life we took, like, okay, this is a cause they believed in. And in maturity, we just know that we took a lot, not only from victims, but from our own families that got to come see us, got to call us, help call us. To the books real quick. Life goes on inside prison. I got a chapter in there called How the Spouses and Families Do Time with the Prisoner. When we go to prison, we don't do time alone. Our families, our girlfriends, friends, everybody doing time with us. We not just locked up on our own. These people love us, so they become a part of our struggle. This is the pain that we cause through our actions back in crime. We're not thinking about it, but we affect a lot of people. It's hard, man, but I had to capture it in detail in my 2 books. One of them is called Life Goes On Inside Prison, and the other one is called Time, Endless Moments in Prison. The gift I had was writing, and by me writing, I can capture all those stories, and I wrote nonfiction to give people knowledge and education. Each book, at the end, I got solutions to the problem that plagues society.
You are like one in a million, right? I'm so shocked listening to you speak right now about your process and how you went through it and the way you thought from the beginning. You didn't get mixed up in a lot of things. What do you contribute to that? Were you always that kid that was super strong and resilient in your mind like that? Or who taught you that? It's just amazing to me. How do we get more guys to think like you?
Resilience, it starts from struggle, right? In my situation, my resilience started from seeing my mother, the person that you love the most, struggle on welfare,
Yeah.
and she making a way out of nowhere. You seeing her strength when we don't have nothing. Like I said in one of my poems, I said when we went to sleep hungry, she would fill our bellies up with the hope of tomorrow.
Yeah.
It wasn't no food, but she filled us up with something that can't be explained when a mother love her kids and she just telling them it's gonna be all right. She that type of strength growing up with nothing, no heat, no gas, holes in your shoes, poor, dirt poor. The strength I had to have as a child to endure that is what gave me the foundation to keep going the 241 years.
Yeah.
So this wasn't just built overnight. It goes back to that child that had to be strong, had to go pump gas or take out groceries for people and cut grass and hustle just to get a meal at night. I was smart. I got straight A's in school, but I stayed in trouble.
Yeah.
The book thing is natural, but I didn't go to books immediately in prison. I only went to books because I was an acid, and there's nothing to do when you're in solitary confinement. There's nothing but four walls and a book. So you forced to read because you're tired of thinking. So you got to open the book, and once you open up the book, it opens up a whole different world to you. You see beyond your street corner, you see beyond your city, beyond your neighborhood. You can see the world, you see the opportunity out there. The hard part was, damn, now you see the world, but you will never see the world because you got 241 years. It's like solitary confinement, they give you romance now. This is the books they pass out. You're in the field with another dude, and you got to read romance novels constantly. That's
Yeah.
torture, right? Every
Yeah.
page you read about they making passionate love or
Yeah.
the man and the woman happy ever after they having kids and bought a new house and damn, this stuff I'll never get to do. Man. This is
Yeah.
torture. Yet I'm a hopeless romantic, so I keep reading. I kept dreaming like, man, one day I'm gonna have a woman to do this with. I'm gonna get out one day. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a house one day. I'm gonna have kids one day. But it's a dream though. But imagine that dream when everything that you try to do to get out of prison, they say no. Every door slammed in your face, but you still dreaming, you still hoping, you still listening to love songs with the most intense passion in the world. You ain't a Romeo, but you feel like one. Like, man, love is real, but you can't get to it because you're stuck in prison. You just hold on to this woman and hope that she can see the beauty and the love that you have. It's hard, so you just hold on. That type of strength and faith. My autobiography is called Humble to the Dust Still I Rise. Humble to the dust means you fell to your lowest point in life.
Yeah.
Your head is down, you down on the ground, humble. God had to humble some of us for us to see our mistakes and to see that we need to change. And then once you change, you can get up off that floor, off that gravel, that lowest point of your life and look up a little bit. And when you look up, get up, still I rise. That's why I named that book Humble to the Dust, Still I Rise. I wrote that book, and 10 years before I got out, I completed that book. In the end, I named the last chapter The Promised Land. The Promised Land Freedom. I'm going to make it to the Promised Land out here. I put that book up, and I added on to it in 85, 6 years, and now I'm out. I completed the book, and the book ends with my first year of being free. That's how I was able to finish the book. I finished it in there, but I didn't publish it until I got out. Like, this is my life a year after being out. But I wrote it when I had no chance to get out. I was dreaming about making it to the promised land. The crazy part about prison is, when I was at a maximum security prison, it sits on the hill. The minimum prison, where guys got 6 years or less, sits on the bottom. It sits way down the hill, but you can look into the yard from my yard. I used to just look down at that minimum security like, man, them guys don't know how they got it. That's the best place you can ever be, even though they're in another prison, but it's like they going home. Man. Like, man, if I can just get down there one day, then I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? I used to just look at that yard every day. Man, them dudes, man, they look like they live the time of their life. They stand there free. To me, it's like they going home. They know they going home.
Yeah.
And so I'm up here, man, I got to go back to the cell. But every day I get a little free time. I just go and look down at that minimum security yard. And the way God worked, that's what he sent me to when I finally got a date.
Oh, you went
can't
there.
be around. Yeah, I went to that exact same prison. I used to stay around there every day because when you get a date, you got to be at prison where people got 6 years or less.
Wow.
Even though I still had my same sentence, I still had the same sentence. The sentence never changed in my situation. I never got out through the course of them. I got out through that legislation that allowed me to go for parole, and I made a year out date. Around the license for 4 more months. And then policy, you got to be around dudes that's going home before you go home. So they sent me down the street, looked up at the maximum security now every day like, man, I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
I'm still in prison, but I'm actually down here 7 months ago, 6 months ago, 5, 3, 2, and I was free. You can Google my name,
Yeah.
look at the YouTube videos. You'll see me walking out of prison with a suit on.
Mhm.
Of course, they asked me why did I have a suit on, and I said, well, the suit represents the new business of life. I'm a businessman, and I'm on to the new business of life. And the business I'm doing now, when I was in prison, you can look this up too. I published a lot of articles with the Martian Project that I wrote. I was
Oh.
talking about how I became a motivational speaker in prison. Inside
Mhm.
those articles. In prison, I took up Toastmasters. One of
Yeah.
the colleges I was going to, we had a college graduation, and our families were invited. And they chose three, and the college administration from the three, superintendent from the prison, a lot of people from the street came up there. And I was chosen as one of the speakers. And another guy, who he was chosen as a speaker, he used to tell me to go to Toastmasters. But when I looked where he was going, Toastmasters, I saw him and a bunch of white nerds. I'm like, man, I'm not hanging out with the nerdy dudes. I go with stuff like that. He's like, man, I'm telling you, man, me and him walking the yard, practicing our speeches every day. I remember the 4-page speech by heart. He got his. He talking good. I'm like, nah, I think mine sound better. You know, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. So
Mhm.
when it was time to speak, he got another guy spoke. All three of us was juvenile through the hair light that spoke. He spoke. Another guy spoke, and then it was my turn to speak. And I got up there and fumbled. You hear me? I
Mhm.
never spoke in front of a crowd. I just
Yeah.
spoke prisons, 30, 40 eyes,
Yeah.
people on the street, beautiful females. Remember the speech, but I'm fumbling through it.
Mhm.
I sit down, my sister's like, boy, you was nervous. And I went to Toastmasters the next day. You know?
Did you?
And the best thing I ever did, because being around those nerds, we talked about Socrates, Plato. We would have debates on,
Yeah.
even though we all in prison, we would play devil advocate. We'd be on this side, you on this side. Like, why should people get a life sentence
Yes.
and never get out versus why they shouldn't? So here it is, they may pick you, and you got to be passionate about your side. So your side is you a lifer talking about why lifers should stay in prison.
Yeah.
On the other side would be the other guy, people change, they go to science, et cetera, et cetera. But when you having a debate, got to be two sides. So we trying to get college people to come in. We feel that the guy who said people shouldn't get life make the most sense. But on the other side, we still got to order the case to the fullest. But we can get college students and state legislators to hear these debates, and they can hear what we doing in prison. They can see the positive. So it was my job, because I was the vice president of communication. I would write thousands of letters to get people to come to our debates from the street.
Wow.
So you can see this is who he is, man. We didn't change. We talking about the theory of relativity. We got life
Right.
sentences, but we organize science and history and all this. But people can't see that. They only see our science, right?
Yeah.
People would come and tell us how good we did, and we just dreamed of maybe we can go to a college debate. We just had grand dreams in prison, man. So now I'm around these other minds that think like me, even though they nerds. But
Yeah.
the thing about prison is I was a nerd because I wrote books. I studied poetry all day. In prison, you can be a nerd. You got to be a certain type. You can't be a nerd that somebody can just come and pick on you and take something.
Right.
You got to be a nerd where they walk past you like, man, just leave dude in his books, because once he come out the books, he going to be a beast too. You got to be a beast in prison. You can't be just a nerd. But there's two things about prison people respect. They respect knowledge and violence.
Right.
Even the violent guys respect the guy with knowledge, because he's the one who, if they go to the hole, he got to file a grievance to try to get them out the hole.
Yeah.
If he's trying to file a divorce with his wife or get custody of his kids, he got to go to this knowledgeable guy who know this stuff. You got to be a complete nerd. I love books. I still had the other side I'm ready to go to. You got to have that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if you lose that in that place, it's the people you're around. You trying to change, but the people around you, they don't care about your change. You got to stand on your change in all circumstances. You have Buddhists in there, guys that practice nonviolence. They ain't in there, but you still had to be ready for something at all times, because you're still in prison. When you locked in books, you focus. Your change is your change. You're not doing drugs. You're not selling drugs.
Right.
You don't participate in the politics, but you still of the politics because you're in prison. You can escape it, but you're still there.
Yeah.
Freedom comes within when you change, and those are the guys who I gravitated towards the Toastmasters, the nerdy white guys that was from the rural parts of Missouri. We got along just fine. We traded books. We debated, competed against each other
Yeah.
now. And now we challenge each other who can speak the best. You know,
Cool.
and Now we want to get deeper in knowledge. I want to talk like dude, man, because I ain't never heard of we competing in knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it didn't become a competition, but we competed in spirituality. Who can be the best spiritual person? Who can change their life and devote their life to God the most? This is the competition that we have in the prison. And nobody can see that but us and her. We can tell our families, and that's the forward of the win, that nobody will know that the most religious person are in prison. People ask, why do people go to prison to find religion? Because we got to reach that lowest point and realize that we need God. We need something bigger than us. Prison, the most dedicated class of men you ever meet. So imagine now these serious men dedicating their life to religion. They become not extremists, but they become fanatics in a good way with religion. They walking around prison with a life sentence talking about, I ain't gonna sin. And it's like, bro, you're here for the greatest sin in the world. You took a life. But to them, I didn't change. God forgave Moses, he'll forgive me. I'm gonna cross my Red Sea. I'm gonna get out of it one day. And it's the hope that guys have. You see guys change and become the best men in the world. Some of them did the worst things in the world. These are the guys that I walked the yard with 27 years. I can never forget them because part of who I am as a man, who I came safe to be my change, is my inner change. A lot of what I learned and knew was from around guys in prison. Each one of our journeys was different. I still learn from them guys how to think, how to move. My own knowledge, as you said, paraphrase you said I'm one of a kind. I am. Each one of us had our own journey, but it's a lot that I did learn from those guys. Even if it was what not to do, I learned that from them guys too. When you walk the yard 27 years, you can never forget. Hence why I'm doing a podcast this morning. I've been out 2 years. Some people will get out and don't look back or forget, but when you walk the yard 27 years with those guys, you would never forget the struggle. Your husband, I don't know him, but I feel his struggle. I know the fight to try to get out. And I can be out 30 years, I never forget. So if I can help somebody like that, I am, because I always sought that help in desperation when I was on the life sentence. So I can never walk the Lord and forget the struggle of these guys in prison.
Yeah.
No matter what state, it's the same struggles. Anybody in prison, y'all listen to this, man. Y'all, you hear the inspiration, true story. I got out. It wasn't only some guys say, oh, he's lucky or juvenile. They don't work like that, man, because just say I went to prison and got in all the trouble in the world. Do you think when it was time to go for parole, they would matter that I was a juvenile? No, I was a grown man in prison. So when you go to prison and get that type of time, why should I have a good, clean record when I ain't never get out? But if you think like that, when the opportunity finally comes, you're in a position where now you can't go home because you caught 20 years in prison because you sold drugs to stab somebody. I mean, what we all want is freedom. We want kids. We want family. We want to be out with our women. We got to just do away with our old ways. And it's not cliche. I lived it. I was in the thick of everything in prison, the riots, the stabbings. I was in all that. But in the end, what does it do when we trying to get out of prison? It hurt us more than help us, man. So it's like, let's never give up. Let's not let the prison and that environment define us. And let's get out of there. If we worthy, we got to show the world we worthy, and we don't get out as long as we keep fighting. This is what I tell guys in prison. And this is what I'm still saying, and I'll forever be saying, because it was those guys who helped me in prison. So I can never forget them, no matter what state, no matter what I can never forget that struggle, and it's real.
Did you ever feel anger? I feel like a lot of people get caught up in that anger. They're angry that this happened to them because rightfully so, 241 years is not fair. How do you, and same thing with my husband, he carries the weight of, I'm supposed to die in here. He carries that every day. And I think a lot of people feel sometimes an anger that they're in this situation. Did you ever feel that? And how did you get past it?
Okay, two things about guilt. Guilt is not in itself a redeeming emotion. We can feel guilty about what we in there for, but just feeling guilty is not going to do no good. So you got to take that pain and then what you feel towards that guilt and turn it into redemption, right? I feel guilty about the victims, what I did. I got to take that guilt. I can't just live in guilt. I can't just say, man, I'm supposed to be here for the rest of my life. God put that in the cards right now for me somehow to wake up. Maybe if he gave me 10 years, I would have woke up. That life sentence makes me wake up. It makes me say, it got to be something bigger than this. God put me in this situation for a reason. I don't understand the logic of being sentenced to 241 years for robbery at 16. I don't understand that, but God knew what he was doing. And he knew somehow I would get through that. And he had a law that got passed in my situation to help 715 other people
Mm-hmm.
as of now. But in counting, it's going to help hundreds of other people. But this is how God works. I never thought me being from the street, not even knowing nothing about law, that I studied the law so much that I changed the law.
Yeah.
Man, you never can think that what you can do, what you can accomplish. Your husband and other people like that, you got to find out what's their life purpose, what's their mission in life, and accomplish it.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they'll come from under the sentence if it's God's will. Everybody ain't coming out there. Even us that change, somehow we may aspire in there. But I'm trying not to be the one who died in there, because the reason why is I'm saying this is because I saw these old guys I was talking about that I studied law with when I first
Yeah.
came. Most of them died in prison. I
Oh.
seen it with my own eyes, and I knew then if I didn't get his time back, I was gonna die too.
Yeah.
It becomes real when you see guys who walk the yard with they ain't dying not of violence but natural causes and
Yeah.
medical neglect. You seeing this with your own eyes, and I knew right then and there that if I don't get his time back, that dude came in prison. He was a teenager too. He came at 16. He died at 56. They died in prison. I seen that with my own eyes.
Wow.
I'm gonna die here if I don't get it right. You hold on to hope.
Did any of the people from Toastmasters get out, or are you the only one in
No,
there?
there's that guy who I'm telling you who I practiced that speech with. He had life without parole. He had 2 murders.
Ooh.
And he on the street. He got out 2 years before me. He had 2 life without parole sentences. And he got out. He was a juvenile, though.
Okay.
His angle, he was fighting his case on a legal battle, saying it was a self-defense because he killed some guys who robbed him. He went to every program he could, and they helped him when it was time to go for parole. They gave him a 3-year out date, and they gave everybody else 5-year out dates. He had 2 murders. Everybody else had 1 murder. He still got out before a lot of other people because of his behavior in prison.
Mm.
You got 365 programs that you completed, and he was never going home.
Wow.
What was he doing it for himself? He wanted change, and that's what helped him get out.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys I ran too, but no, 95% of the guys through prison, but they was licensed,
Wow.
right? There's only a few of us got out, but the guy who used to come in at Toastmasters, when you go to programs in prison that have what's called like a voluntary correction, somebody who come in from the street to watch us and host a class. I seen him a lot.
Okay.
And he was just shocked, like, man, you actually got out. Like, man,
Yeah.
like, you out. It was just hard. He had to just look at me, just stand there and stare at me, because where he seen me actually was at a Toastmaster convention in Missouri, where all the people in Missouri, that's the Toastmasters come together once a year.
Oh, wow.
I had a table in the hallway while I was selling my books.
Oh, cool.
And so by him being a real active member of Toastmasters, he walked through the hall, and he didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't know he was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And he just happened to see me, like,
Aw.
you know, like, is this seeing a ghost? Like, nah, it's me, man. So I'm at a table with, got 100 books sitting there stacked from floor halfway to my shoulder. I'm selling books.
You're such an inspiration because we think that we do a lot. I'm trying to do a lot for advocacy and stuff, and my husband writes books as well, and he tries all these things, but I can't wait to tell him that you wrote thousands of letters. We think that writing a couple letters is doing our due diligence when really there's even more that you can do, you know? So to hear you say that you had to write thousands and get all that negative feedback too, get all the rejections over and over, that would normally hurt someone, make their hope dwindle. But for you, it just enforced it more that you needed to send out more letters. And I think that a lot of people listening will take that and be like, wow, I could actually do more.
Yeah, they got to do more. In fact, I was talking to a guy, this another guy where a guy tried to rob him, and he, facing the guy down and shooting him while they was wrestling with the gun, whatever. But
yeah,
I'm telling him, like, man, the difference between first degree murder and second degree murder. Second degree murder got parole at the end of it in Missouri. You can possibly get out one day. If you got first degree murder,
you don't.
meaning intentional homicide,
Yeah,
meaning that you premeditated the murder, even though it happened the way it happened in his situation spontaneously. He was getting robbed and he got a murder. But I'm telling him, like, man, you should at least have a second degree murder, but in order to get there, you got to fight. And he one of them guys, unfortunately, that got a lot of hate in his heart.
Yeah.
And he got bitterness towards the situation. He like, man, I don't even supposed to be here, man. I'm like, man, you just got to keep writing. He like, man, I wrote a few letters, man. What I supposed to make the people out in your back? I'm like, bro, see that type of negativity, man, you can't get out of prison with that type of mindset, man.
Yeah.
You angry, even though you don't supposed to be there, take that anger and figure out how to get out of prison. Translate your anger and your guilt into redemption first. That's change. And then second, towards fighting for your freedom, man. Because you being mad at the world, people going on with their lives, you got to figure out how you can get free.
Do you remember the
So
day that you
I'll never forget.
Yeah. Can you tell me what it felt like when you found out that you had a
I
note
well,
date?
yeah, well, they passed the legislation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we passed this law.
Wow.
And over and over, they kept mentioning my name. This is why we passed this law. People knew in Missouri the law got passed. The young people that was at other camps, other prisons, never heard of it. They just got a paper where they got a life sentence plus 75 years. We're 85%. They was never getting out. But they got a paper saying, look, you go for parole in 2 months. They're like, man,
Whoa.
that must be a mistake. And somebody down the hall like, nah, man, you don't know, bro. But dude got the law passed, man. Well, the law done changed. You can go home.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna go home. I got this much time. And now some of them on the street, on their way to the streets, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the power of change and what we can do in prison if we don't give up.
Yeah.
And most important though, sincere change, man. You gotta change. All the trying to be slick, and we really gotta change. This fight, this advocacy can come into full bloom, and we can get free.
Mm-hmm.
We might not get out immediately, but if we can get a parole date, chance, that's all many people like your husband want.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chance.
Yeah.
If you put me in front of parole board, I can get out. Just give me a date, even if it's 10 years from now. I just want freedom. Let me get a chance.
Yeah.
And nobody will never understand that. They don't have them sentences. What we seeking about that chance, we just want a second chance. That's it.
Yeah.
And we earning that. We not just asking them to give it to us. We gonna earn that chance, but at least give it to us.
100%. You have 15 books. If you were to recommend one for someone to start reading some of your stuff, which one would you recommend that someone would pick up first?
Humble their dress.
Yeah.
Inspirational one. Then second, I would say Dear Mama.
Okay. What are you doing now? What are your projects now?
Well, now at a nonprofit, I do giveaways twice a month in different neighborhoods in St. Louis. Free toys, clothes, shoes, books. I do motivational speaking. I get paid for everything I learned to do in Toastmasters. I get paid for going to different colleges across the country, union halls, senior citizen homes, churches. I just go across the country speaking about my story.
Wow.
And I got my own publishing company. Just an independent entrepreneur hustling the right way now, legally.
I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to speak with you and hear your story. I feel like you've inspired me so much. So many people have been through less than what you've been through and have done less. You're such an inspiration to literally everyone. I can't imagine how that must feel to be able to inspire so many thousands of people now with your story.
For anybody who's listening, if you're on the street, follow me on Instagram at Free Bobby Bostic. Follow me on Twitter at Free Bobby Bostic. On LinkedIn as well, on Free Bobby Bostic. Google my name. Look up all the videos on YouTube. You'll see how the media covered what I'm doing since I've been out while I was in there. You'll see what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
My books are available on Amazon. And look up my website and you'll see what I'm doing.
You have a website too?
Yeah, I got a website called Juvenile Lifers Without Parole Speaks.org.
Okay.
And I got another one called Troubled Teens with Dreams.org. And I got another one called FreeBobbyBostic.com. My publishing company website is called MindDiamonds.net. The name of my publishing company is Mind Diamonds, so I named my website MindDiamonds.net. Those are my four websites.
Wow.
Anything else, when you look my name up on Google, you can see all the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or just read the Wikipedia page and everything else I wrote under Google. Hope that inspires some of the listeners inside and outside. And we can do what we put our minds to. We just keep striving for your goals in life and your purpose. And once you find your purpose, it's bigger than you and you'll help a lot of people along the way.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you as well.